I'm Clifford Chapman. My sign is Taurus, and I'm 75 years old. And let's see, what else do you want to know? I'm getting shorter as I get older, and my feet are getting longer.
And I'm Don Shidler. I'm only 69 years old, soon to be 70. My sign is, what is my sign? Gemini. And I'm not getting shorter, but I'm getting broader.
So when did you move to San Luis Obispo County? And maybe tell the story of why.
Well, I think that I'll probably go first because I've always lived here. I was born and raised in Guadalupe, which happens to be Santa Barbara County, but it's right on the other side of the line. My family has lived in San Luis Obispo since 1830, and so after I served in the United States Navy in Korea, I came back to Calpoly to go to school and have stayed here ever since. And the reason that I stayed here partly was because I have been all over the world, but I like the atmosphere here. When I moved back to San Luis Obispo, the population was about 8,000 people. Cal Poly still was not coeducational, and I think I was probably the only gay person in San Luis Obispo.
I came up here in 1964 after meeting Clifford, and we got together, and then I was living in Orange County and couldn't transfer my job up to this county, and decided that I would forego the job in order to have Clifford. So I moved up here and went to Cal Poly. It was coeducational by that time, but only about 5,000 students. There were only about 1,500 in my graduating class. And I've been here ever since and wouldn't think of living anyplace else.
And out of curiosity, because you both went to Cal Poly and you're both alumni, maybe let us know what your majors were, or maybe some of your fondest memories about Cal Poly to kind of connect you back with the community kind of in a way.
My time at Cal Poly was only about a year because I didn't have any money and I needed to work. And I suppose the thing that I liked the most about the university was the smallness of the school. It was very easy to know everyone that was there, and especially in your particular major. My major was electronic engineering because that's what I did in the Navy, and so I picked up about 2 years of credits for having been in the Navy, and that seemed a natural thing to do. When I was here and trying to get into the some help from the government at that time, if you were a veteran, you got a college benefits. They were like the government seems to be all the time, is that it was very difficult to get things straightened out. The benefits that we got at that time were like $85 a month to take care of you and also go to school, which obviously is not enough. And that didn't even come through to me. So I was working part-time, anything I could do, mowing lawns, babysitting, anything. And that was not unusual as far as I was concerned. That was just something that you did to get by with. At that time, I was looking for work all the time. One of my great aunts had been friends with the owners of Marshall's Jewelers. I also knew them well. And so she felt very sorry for me, and she went in to see if there was some sort of a job that I could do there to help me out. And Arthur Marshall, the owner of the store, gave me a job as janitor at the time, and I went in and worked there for worked there, and as I was working there, became more and more interested in the jewelry business, in design, and also in the repairs, and everything to do with it fell right into the line of things that I like to do. So they needed someone more than just a janitor, and they offered me the job, and so I had to decide whether to see if I could get ahead in the jewelry business rather than continue with my electronic engineering. And I decided that I better take the jewelry job. And so I did, and that was kind of a wonderful decision to make. Not that I didn't like electronics, but it was a wonderful decision because the doors opened, and I continued on in the jewelry business the rest of my life.
And you? About the major at Calpoly,
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
some of your favorite memories there?
Well, I'm an unusual duck as far as Cal Poly is concerned, because at the time I was going to school there, just like Clifford, I was on the GI Bill, and I was an English major. So when I graduated, I got a Bachelor of Science in English. When you present that degree to people, they say, no, you don't get a Bachelor of Science in English. That's a liberal arts thing. And I said, no, I have a Bachelor of Science in English. I enjoyed Cal Poly primarily, I suppose, because it wasn't so large. You were closer to your instructors, and many of whom were just the best instructors you could possibly have. While I was going to school, I was working as a haberdasher. I worked in a men's clothing store, putting clothes on people's backs, and that store is no longer there, but that helped me get through college. That and Clifford, because I didn't have to pay any rent, so made it through there.
So you talked about moving from Orange County to be with Clifford. So how long have you guys been together?
We've been together since August the 28th, 1964.
And how about you tell us the story of how you guys met?
Well, there are two versions. My version is that I met Clifford at a New Year's Eve party, I believe it was, in Costa Mesa. He was with somebody else at the time, but I was pretty much smitten by him, and we danced a couple of dances which he doesn't remember, and then later I learned that he was no longer with the fellow that he was with, and I did my utmost to get a meeting with him, and we came up here and visited him. A friend of mine and I came up and visited him and his mother when shortly after they moved in here, and then later one evening at a gay bar in Laguna Beach, I was in there and he walked in, and I said, "That's my man," and we got together, and 3 months later I was up here.
And let's hear the other version.
Well, let's see, my version was, I do remember the party quite well. And I was with I guess I don't know what you would call him today, but at that time you called him a chicken. I was 30, I guess, 30 years old at that time, and I had a young man who had just turned 17, and this was going very frantic and wonderful, I must say. Frantic is not the word for it. It's worse than frantic, but wonderful is the word. But we were at this party together, and it seemed to me that I had to be watching him very carefully all the time, so I don't remember Don, and because everybody was hot for this chicken, so to speak. And anyway, I do remember that party. I don't remember us dancing together. And I guess I don't remember you and your friend coming up here before we went to
Mexico.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't remember that either. But
your chicken was still living here.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right. Anyway, that was an interesting and a wonderful experience, I must say. I've had a number of wonderful experiences along that line, and feel honored to have known the people that I've known. Certainly more than honored to end up with Don, and it's been an incredibly wonderful relationship. It's a nice learning process every day, I must say.
Let's see. So how do you attribute the longevity of your relationship? What is it that's made you guys work through all the things?
Well, for me, I suppose what it's is that I think everything has to be in balance, and you work very hard to, at least I do, to be in balance on the other side of where your partner is. If your partner is high-strung, then you tend to try to be on the other side to bring out a balance there. I think that's very important. Most important, you have to like each other. Even more important, I think, than love each other. Love each other is wonderful and special, and that's something that just simply grows with your life. But if you don't like somebody, no matter how much you love them, I don't think it could be a possible good relationship. And each of you have to, I think, give a great deal more than you think you should give. I know that in Don's particular instance, he gave a great deal of his life, much more than I did, simply because, first of all, my mother was living with me when he came to live here. So we spent 25 years together with my mother living with us. And that's an incredible strain on a relationship. So you must like each other. He had to also like my mother, and he did, and that was nice. But I think probably liking each other is one of the things that works fine. You must be able to work together. Oh God, after I said that, I can't believe I said it, because we don't work together. We don't work together. We don't do projects together at all unless somebody needs someone to help you lift something. Then I'll find him someplace. Otherwise, I much prefer to do my project by myself, and he much prefers to do his project by himself.
Split the project into pieces.
Absolutely.
At opposite ends of the property.
Usually one over here and one way over there. Absolutely. That's a must. Otherwise, you don't have a chance in hell, I'll tell you. At least we don't. Because he doesn't do anything right, and I have to redo it. So that's why he does his things, and he does his things right, except that he doesn't do my things right.
And what do you attribute to how it's worked for you?
Well, everything that he said. Yeah, all of the above. But along those same lines, and he said you give more of yourself than you thought you could. I'm not sure that you give more than you thought you could. I think you give as much as you possibly can, and overlook the things that bug you about a person. Like you learn to work on projects separately and overcome those things. Actually, we could work together if he would work in my way. Because all we're doing is attacking the problem from different angles.
Bullshit.
And the end result is the same. We have a healthy respect for each other, and I think that's very important. We respect each other's space. We respect each other's thinking and thought processes. We respect each other's hurts, likes, dislikes, and console one another when we can, praise one another when we're praiseworthy.
Even when it isn't.
Pat each other on the back when we've done a good job. And I think we've also had such a wonderful support group in that this area has the most wonderful people that you'd ever hope to know, and we know many, many, many people, and they always support us in the things that we do as we support them in projects that they're doing, and I think that's all part of the ball game.
I would like to add something to that. I think when he said support group, I think that is probably really right up there at the top of everything. early on in our relationship, we had my family, which was not, I couldn't call them a support group, except that they were in their own way. They had no idea what was happening. They were too old to understand gay life. But they still supported us because we were hardworking and we were respectful of them and that kind of thing. But then when my family died, and even prior to that, we started to get a lot of people that were moving into the area, gay couples that were moving into the area. And it was easy then to become friendly with them. And all of a sudden in our lives became more normal because of the people we were associating with. Because of my business, I still had a lot to do as far as heterosexual people are concerned. And I liked heterosexual people very much as I like gay people. So they were very important to me also. But in our private lives, then we knew gay couples. And even without ever particularly discussing your private life with them, just simply because it was a community, it helps you continue in your particular way. It was very nice. It is very nice. Yeah.
Who are some of the people you were closest to from this area? And are they still around?
Well, let's see. In this particular area, oh sure, they're still around. I don't know if you, I don't know, am I supposed to mention people's names?
Oh, I guess maybe not, huh? Because they might not be out. Actually, never mind. Because they might not
Oh,
be
I wouldn't
out.
mention anybody who's not out.
Okay.
Yeah. Even if they think they're not, they are. Well, I guess the first one that I met prior to
Or
even...
maybe even just what you guys did for social gatherings, or you know what I mean, kind of to describe when you talk about.
Not a
support.
great deal different than we do today. We went to each other's homes for dinner. We went on camping trips. No, I didn't do camping trips. We went on hiking trips or that kind of thing. And we did caravans to different areas that we heard about that were beautiful, wildflowers and things like that. And mostly, I guess, we were social. And along with the sociability, when someone in the community had a tragedy, everyone in the community came forth and was available. Not only available, but was incredibly supportive of the person and tried to carry through with that throughout their life. And so that you always felt that if and when that happened to you, you would have the same kind of support.
And along those same lines, well, we had a number of gay friends and built a community around them. We didn't want to live in a ghetto of only gay people. And certainly through his business, we met numerous straight couples and made friends with them. And now when we have a dinner party, it's a mixture of gay and straight. And that's been going on for a long time. And we get the same kind of support from them as we would have, or as we do from gay couples. So it's a nice mixture without a ghetto kind of a feeling. It's just, we're just people, and we all get along together very nicely. And if we don't, well, then they're not in the group, or you're not in their group, or whatever it is. But we're really no different than anybody else. We all put our pants on one leg at a time.
And I have a question, kind of rewinding into when you're talking about the longevity of your relationship, talking about sometimes one person's this and one person's that, and you kind of balance out. I was just kind of curious, is one of you more high-strung than the other, or more stressed out, or more goofy, or how would you describe each other's personalities a little bit?
Clifford is the calm water. He's also the tour director. And well, that's what we call the more dominant of our relationship.
That's because I'm so much bigger than he is.
I'm afraid of him. But where was I? What did I say?
You said how dominant I was.
No,
Was the word?
no, I didn't. I am a little, I'm more high-strung. I have a hot temper that's instantaneous and then it's cold. So I may drop something and swear up a storm, and he wondered what I'm screaming about. And I've just done it and it's over with. So he's the calming influence, and I'm, for lack of a better term, more hysterical.
Yeah, he can't make a sandwich and put mustard on the sandwich without cussing.
Because I can't get the damn bottle open.
Whatever the reason, for sure.
Yeah. So one of the things that, like the origin of this project is, for us, we're looking for inspiration, like because of the fact that we don't have visible role models, because there's such a huge focus in the gay community on youth that you often don't get to see, and you can't identify. Like if I was to see you guys in the grocery store, I wouldn't know that you guys had been in a relationship for 25 years. And all of us usually have heterosexual role models via our parents or who raised us. However, most of us don't really have some sort of someone to inspire us and stuff like that. And I was just curious, for you, growing up or even in mid or later, who has inspired you? Has it been your family, your friends, somebody on television? Who have been your inspiration? Or what has been your...
I suppose when you say you don't have any role models, we had no role models either, even less, because there was no such thing as being out in the community. And so you had to become your role model. You had to use your mind, and you had to make up your mind as to what you wanted to do. And then, as far as I was concerned, then you had to bring the community in and make them part of your life. And at my particular time, of course, the community was completely straight community. That was not difficult for me. My family was all straight, except for some strange queer uncles that I finally found out about later, But they were also, nobody knew about them. So that was not difficult. In fact, I think it enhanced my life and our life to have, to be able to then you choose rather than choose a role model. I suppose what I'm hearing from you is probably role models in maybe staying together or that type of thing. I'm not sure what the young gay community feels, but I think one of the things that is important about being gay, young or old, is that you do bring your life together as a human being within the community that you're living in. Not necessarily all gay community, because the world is never going to be all gay. And I think it would be horrible if it was. I much prefer being a part of this wonderful minority. It's much better than being part of the majority, which just stinks as far as the way that they handle the world, So you really are blessed. And I say take it and go, it's up to you. Don't lean on anything or anyone. Lean only on yourself, and that'll make your life very happy because it will be your accomplishment.
I don't know about role models, and
or even just in someone...
we didn't have role models, as Clifford said. So we kind of created our own role models, or became our own role models. And we were appreciative of people who were successful, whatever they did. And that might be a model to follow. There's a success story here. I can't think of role models
I think
that we did have. But for the young people of today, life is so much different. There are gay people out. There are Brokeback Mountain movies out, and it's a controversy. There are more big name people who are coming out and admitting to being homosexual and not being condemned for it. Ellen DeGeneres, for one, and people like this. And there's a great deal more acceptance of gay people. And so they are going to be the young people's role models. Part of the problem with young people and old folks like us is a generation gap. You listen to different music than one age than you do to another. You know, I'm not into hip hop and rap and all this kind of stuff. I like old goldies, and I mean old, from the 40s or something like that. Those kinds of things are just natural separations. Not that I don't accept, you know, that's fine. Young people want to listen to one kind of music, they like one kind of art, they want to drive one kind of car or something like this, that's fine. But it's hard for me to drive in my little old lady's car and be a role model, I think, for somebody who wants to ride in a Spitfire or something like this.
What type of music do you guys enjoy listening to, and maybe if there's a song?
I'm pretty much a classical music buff. All classical music I like very much.
And that's probably my favorite, is the classical music. However, I like instrumental music that could be the background music from a movie, or some of the Beatles tunes that have been orchestrated for large orchestras, and these kinds of things. I think that's a good kind of music. Clifford likes opera, and I like to go to the opera, but I don't like to listen to opera music because it demands too much of your attention, and I want music in the background that doesn't cause me to stop and think about what they're doing.
And do you have a song that you guys like to dance to or remind you of each other?
We don't dance well together at all. He wants to lead and I want to lead. He's too tall and I'm too short. And
we like Memories from Cats.
Yeah, that's a nice song. It's very nice.
And there was a song, I've forgotten that woman's name who sang it. It's a Carol Bayer Sager. Oh, that's not quite right. Anyway, it was called Come In From the Rain.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes when life was tough outside and we would come in from the rain together, that meant something to us.
And on coming out stuff, it sounds like you were out to your family, Clifford?
No, I was not out to my
Can
family.
you explain maybe who you were out to, maybe when you came out to yourself? Like for me, my evolution was coming out to myself, coming out to my friends, and then coming out to my family,
Mm-hmm.
and then community.
I suppose I really didn't come out even to myself. I came out, of course, obviously, even to myself, because I knew that I was in love with Don, and I knew all of my friends, and we had all of that community. But until I finally allowed myself complete coming out is when my mother died. My mother would never have understood this, so it wasn't any, and my grandmother either, so it was not even a possibility in my mind. And so that didn't, but after that, it was an incredible release as far as I was concerned. To think that I had been lying for 60-some years was a horror. And the relief after that was wonderful. So I'm all for people coming out. That doesn't mean that you change your lifestyle. That just simply means that you suggest to people that your lifestyle is different, but you're still who you are, and you still operate the way you do. If you happen to be a drag queen, you still are a drag queen. But if you don't happen to be a drag queen, if you're a business person and that isn't your interest, just because you come out doesn't turn you into something else. So I think I'm all for being truthful. And I guess coming out isn't even the word so much as being truthful, because being truthful to yourself is more important than being truthful to anyone else, as far as I'm concerned.
I was very fortunate in that my elder sister is gay, or was gay. And when she came out to me is when I realized we're really more alike than I thought we were. And I was not out, but I wasn't in either. I was just nobody at that time. I was very young. And then later I came out to myself, and then to her, and just was me. And if I was in, I was in. If I was out, I was out. It didn't seem to matter. If I was with a gay crowd, I could swish with the best of them, but it wasn't my style. With a straight crowd, I think I acted straight as I can be. I don't know what that means. With my family, of course, I had only the one sister. And I remember one time, it was shortly after Clifford's 50th birthday, and we'd done a big dinner party here at the house. And I took a photo album back to Kansas to show my mother the fancy party that we'd had. It was all a black tie dinner party. It was very grand. And she was going through this, and she ran into a picture of a friend of ours who lives in San Luis Obispo, and she says, "Oh, who is that guy there?"